I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. Good evening and Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us. It has been an emotional couple of weeks, but with the Christmas season here, reason for hope. And hope is exactly what Christians in Jerusalem are looking for. Rome Reports has more on their plight during what has been some very tough times.
This time of year, when most people think about the Holy Land, they visualize the joy of Christmas and all the celebrations that come with it. But for Christians living in the Holy Land, which is about 2% of the population, the day-to-day reality is much more challenging. Looking back just a few years ago, the population was much higher.
30–40%. But most of the people have fled because of the pressures there. There's no jobs, they can't travel. Great repression in that part of the world, and it's a shame.
American Cardinal Edwin O'Brien visited the Holy Land on December 1st under his new role of Grand Master of the Order of the Holy Sepulchre. He says Israel's plans to set up 30,000 new settlements will complicate things even further with Palestinians.
The more that land is taken away from them and settlements, permanent settlements built up, it's going to be virtually impossible to envision a free Palestinian state.
And precisely to help that small but vivid Christian community, more than 30,000 members of the Order of the Holy Sepulchre dedicate their time, knowledge, and resources. Their donations help fund 45 schools and more than 60 parishes, and also several orphanages in the Holy Land. He says one of the biggest challenges is actually having an open debate about the conflict between Israel and Palestine.
For some reason, we can't openly debate these things in the United States. We're afraid to be accused of anti-Semitism. But the discussion in Israel among the Jewish people themselves, it's much livelier.
In the meantime, O'Brien says visits from outside pilgrims help out this Christian community, not just financially, but emotionally.
The Midnight Mass is something that's known worldwide, and that's a sign for Christians that there's still life in the church. There's concern for them on the part of the Church Universal.
And even though challenges do exist, Cardinal O'Brien says he made sure this small Christian community knows it's not forgotten.
Christians looking for hope in the Middle East. Meanwhile, here in Brooklyn, a symbol of hope. A star shines bright in Carroll Gardens for the first time in 12 years.
They're doing the lighting of the star, which hasn't been done in quite some time over at the church. It's a tradition over here at Sacred Heart St. Stephen's. So that's why everybody from the parish has turned out.
The star is about 6 foot high, and it's illuminated with over 40 light bulbs. And the star is meant to be a sign of hope.
The fact that we had the hurricane and so many people are having problems at this time of the year, it's a sign of hope, but it's also that star points us to the person of Jesus as the hope of the season and the hope of our lives.
The tradition was started back in the 1950s by the then Monsignor Del Vecchio, pastor of the parish. And he did that after the church had burnt to the ground. And he did it as a sign of hope then, giving people some inspiration and hope for the future of the parish. It continued up until September 11th, 2001.
And we just didn't feel that it would be appropriate to light a star in the wake of the tragedy that we all withstood from the nationwide attack on our country.
And so now that time has passed, we've decided after Sandy, we need a little bit of hope, we need a little bit of inspiration, and we need a beacon calling people back home.
Well, I got a phone call one day from John Heyer to ask if I could help move something at the church. I didn't realize that it was going to be the star. So I showed up with my son Daniel, and we came here, and we had 2 men down on the ground level and hoisted it up, and it hit it to the top of the steeple.
This can be seen in Red Hook. Those people and that parish over there, Visitation of the Blessed Virgin Mary, they have had a rough time. And I think by them seeing this, it helps.
Well, the entire parish tonight is going to be overjoyed because they're seeing something revived that they remember from years ago, as well as for the new people that have moved in the last 10 years, never having experienced this. This will be new memories for the next generation.
I'm from this parish all my life, and I remember this star as a little child. It's just something that was warmth and comfort, knowing that there's a light in the world that's there for us.
One of the things that I believe is that God gathers his people from everywhere. So it was my intention to just gather this neighborhood, transcending ethnic boundaries and religious boundaries or non-religious boundaries, to be here.
Stay with us. There's more Currents ahead. Welcome back to Currents. Christmas is the season of giving, which is exactly the goal of the Bishop's annual Christmas luncheon, held this year on what was coincidentally a day with added significance for Bishop DiMarzio.
Today we have the annual Bishop's Christmas Luncheon. It's a time when we raise money for the children of the diocese. By coincidence, today is December the 6th, the feast of St. Nicholas, Bishop of Myra, which today is in modern Turkey. He was a bishop in the 4th century and was a promoter of understanding the correct relationship between the two natures of Jesus Christ, the human and divine.
Well, the three honorees that we have today are wonderful people. I know all of them. I worked with Monsignor Bracken for many, many years, and he started many of the development programs that we have in our diocese, the Catholic Foundation, which was previously known as the Alive and Hope Foundation. Joe Gagan has been affiliated with the diocese, has been volunteering for so many years. He's on our finance board. He's the chair of the Catholic Foundation for Brooklyn and Queens. And Joe Palumbo is a friend of mine. I know Joe for about 10 years, him and his family. And Joe is just a very generous man. He has a lot of faith.
The teachers, the nuns, the nuns are the backbone of the church, and they always have been, and they always will be. They're the unsung heroes. I truly believe that. But the priests, and they were always good to me. They were always there for me. They nurtured me, and I could never give to them what they've given to me through the years.
In addition to the honorees, we thought it would be a good idea to honor all of those priests and pastors and principals that are serving in the parishes that were greatly affected by the hurricane. Today, we raised over $750,000 that will be used for scholarships, and this year those scholarships we're going to direct them to the children that are most in need.
I guess the most important thing would, of course, be, all the kids who were affected by Sandy, and the fact that a lot of kids can't have the best education they can. And I know that it's really important to have a good school.
I feel like it makes people, they have better morals when they leave Catholic school, most people anyway. And I don't know, it helps you become a better person, better Christian.
The restaurant where that luncheon was held, Russo's on the Bay in Howard Beach, also gave back to some children hard hit by Hurricane Sandy. I was there last week for the special occasion.
We're at Russo's on the Bay, located in Howard Beach. We're serving the local community, the schools, St. Helens, St. Camillus, St. Francis de Sales, Ave Maria Academy, and we're here with the kids to give back for them for Christmas.
I ate some hot dogs and some chicken fingers and some mozzarella sticks. It's a big party for all of our schools. I feel really good. I love Christmas because you get presents and you always get candy.
We wanted to make sure that the kids had something to look forward to, especially after Hurricane Sandy. A lot of these kids were affected.
Sadly, there are still some families who are not in their homes, and some of them still have no heat and electricity. So this was great for the children to feel something they should be enjoying every minute of.
We were relocated in one school, in Good Shepherd School, and then the diocese gave us St. Simon and Jude. And I think when the children came together with their own teachers, they felt comfortable, and it really has been a healing process for them.
And as our nation mourns the loss of angels touched by tragedy in Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut, Russo's on the Bay in Howard Beach honors the life of angels here, touched by a tragedy not so long ago in Hurricane Sandy. But today, there's no talk of disaster, there's no talk of lost homes or lost lives. There's only happiness among the children as they await Christmas and enjoy their time here.
You could scan the room and see the face of these kids, and they're just so happy and so innocent, and just what they went through with the storm. And you don't know how many of them lost their homes or are displaced, and to have them here and be able to enjoy just the company of each other, it's a great experience to be a part of.
Children are something special. We have Angels on the Bay, which I've been doing for 18 years, raising money for children. That's what it's all about, is our children. And just to try to bring some type of sanity after something like this, I think is what was needed.
This year, being able to do something like we are today just brings a lot of energy and excitement to the building, to the neighborhood, to the children that were affected by Hurricane Sandy.
I think our wish came true today. We see 1,300 kids smiling, laughing, and singing Christmas songs. Now we can hope they take that cheer back to their family, and each of them can smile, laugh, and enjoy themselves as a family this year.
My wish is that God protects our children, and no matter what happens in this world, we know that God is with us always.
There's more Currents ahead. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Currents on this, the second day of the Christmas season. Our news director, Ed Wilkinson, spoke with Bishop DiMarzio about the reason for the season in our latest Into the Deep.
Bishop, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Nice to have you here. And this week in your column, you wrote a bit about Pope Benedict's book about the infancy narratives. And I was a little surprised about how much press it got, because he talked about the date of Christmas. People seemed surprised that it wasn't zero, So, I mean, that's nothing new, right?
No, that's been a controversy that's gone on for a long, long time. But when someone like the Pope brings it to everybody's attention, well, then it's news. There were a couple of other things in there that made some slanted headlines. The issue of not being sure that there were animals in the stable or the cave, but there's no mention of it in the scripture. But presuming that it's there, and I know for sure it's there because my grandmother told me that it was the heat from the breath of the animal, the donkey and the cow, that kept Jesus warm.
Well,
so I have no doubt about it.
Hey, what difference does it make if there were animals there? Were there shepherds? Were there magi?
Well,
that's in the scripture.
The Pope
right?
would come out and say, yes, of course, that's in the scripture. We don't add anything, though we take anything away. But there are people who don't believe it even happened, that it's some kind of a myth. But we know that's not true.
What were the gospel writers trying to convey with the Christmas story?
Well, first of all, they wanted to give the circumstances of the birth of Jesus. I think that was important. The story of the Annunciation precedes it, which is truly important. Well, they were trying to give you the aspect of faith, of belief, of the incarnation, and what that's about. The details that surrounded were of secondary importance. The real thing was to recognize that God became man and how this happened in human history. So that was their purpose.
There are even some people who question whether or not it really happened in Bethlehem.
That's true, but the Pope took on that little controversy and worked through it, and he believed that it did happen there. We have evidence that soon after the birth of Jesus, the Romans put a temple there, probably to discourage Christian worship, and certainly after that, the site was made a Christian church. So those are the things we know from the earliest times, and all of the sites in the Holy Land. We're fairly sure that they are the places, because we have these ancient churches that go back, and they can be dated right from the 1st century, 2nd century certainly. So we know these were the real locations.
And I know that on Christmas Eve there's a big celebration, of course, in Bethlehem, and it's by invitation only, because that area is a very small area there where Mass can be said.
It's a very small area, and it's a part of the West Bank, and there's political problems, so it is a rather restrained celebration, but a happy one.
How are you going to celebrate Christmas?
Well, this year I have, on Christmas Eve, I have a Mass at 5:30, another one at midnight in Howard Beach, the two different parishes there. In between, we'll get a little dinner with the two pastors, which gives us a chance to relax. And then the next day, I have a Mass again at Guardian Angel, which is another parish. These are the parishes hit by the hurricane. That's why I'm going there. And then I'll probably go to my family in Jersey and celebrate Christmas Day with them.
And I understand there was a wonderful Christmas party at Russo's the other day for the children who were displaced.
I saw it on the net. That's how I know what happened. It was great. I mean, they looked so happy. They were really excited. That was a wonderful thing that he did, donated the party, and that was a wonderful thing, and bring them all together, and they felt solidarity and some happiness in the midst of their problems.
And another related story was the great Christmas concert at Carnegie Hall the other day.
Oh.
Wasn't that wonderful?
It was great. It really was spectacular, a packed house. The New York tenors came together for the event. Were very good, entertaining, regular music and Christmas music, and a bit of humor, which was good, and it was a very, very nice, pleasant evening.
Yeah, it was good, and of course it's related because that money is going to scholarships.
That's right. It's going to scholarships for the children in the Catholic schools that were affected. There's 1,700 children that were in the schools that were closed and now reopened, thank God. But we're trying to make sure they can stay in these schools because tuition payment for these families is going to be an issue, and that's why we're asking help for that.
So we've had some tough times, but Christmas is a time to try to get beyond that.
That's true.
So we wish you a very Merry Christmas, Bishop, and thanks again for being
Same
with us.
to you, Ed. Bye.
Stay tuned. There's more Currents ahead. Finally tonight, what would the Christmas season be without music? Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Church in Forest Hills held its annual Christmas concert earlier this month, featuring a choir and a symphony orchestra.
You're ready.
What's happening here at Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Church here in Forest Hills is a tradition. This is a wonderful tradition, this Christmas concert.
This is a concert that was started by Monsignor Joseph Finaro, who's with us. He has built this up to be a tremendous Advent ceremony, which is a beautiful celebration of our faith, of music and song, and a beautiful preparation for the coming feast of Christmas.
Church manages to present a concert of this scale really through the generosity of its parishioners who respond to our call for funding, and they come out. As you can see, it's a full house. They come out and support it. So we've created a, may I use the word, magic kingdom in terms of liturgy that has been just spills over into the Christmas concert and makes people want to come in here. The concert has always been a part of this parish, but it's getting bigger and bigger, and we're getting better and better. And the audiences come from all over. We have people from Brooklyn Heights, Long Island, Staten Island.
You know, professional direction. David Close is a professional musician. He brings together our choir. He practices with the church choir every week and does a tremendous job with them.
Well, I've been participating in this program with the Christmas concert since the beginning, back in 1984, when Richard Pretzer, the former organist, started the program. I helped him get some singers and some performers and musicians and so on. And we brought it together because the then pastor said, I want Messiah this season. I said, oh my Lord, how are we going to do this? He said, he wants it. I said, okay, I'll help you, we'll do it. And the rest is history.
It's a beautiful concert, Christmas concert. They do the first part of the Messiah, and then we do a whole Christmas section after that as well.
My favorite part is the Christmas part of it, the second half, with the familiar music of Christmas. I love that. I really enjoy every bit of it.
Well, I think all of the religious songs in any sort of arrangement or in the traditional hymn version for people who love Christmas and celebrate Christmas and birth of Christ, it's fresh, you know, it's close to our heart.
I
I always used to say that the hills are alive with the sound of music when we have our concert here at Forest Hills.
And back in Brooklyn, they are a staple of Dyker Heights at this time of year, elaborate Christmas light displays. We here at NET had a chance to check it out firsthand.
For over 25 years, Dyker Heights, Brooklyn has been lighting up the night with Christmas spirit. This tradition, now known as Dyker Lights, was started by Lucy Spada and soon embraced by her neighbors. Each year, more than 150,000 celebrants descend upon the neighborhood to share in their Christmas joy.
I do it in the memory of my mother because we were brought up this way. It's a time of celebration. Now this year, a lot of people are suffering from the hurricane, a lot of people. And a lot of people just don't even have homes or beds to sleep in. And you want to try to give them something because they can't afford to go to the city or anything like that. So now more than ever, we made it like more bigger. And people come down no matter what, no matter what.
Now, oh, you come every year?
Every year.
Merry Christmas from NET.
And that is all for tonight. Thank you for watching. For all of us here at Currents, Merry Christmas and have a good night.